there is a relationship and expectancy of somebody to be mentoring the other person generally. And he's acting like they asked him to do something that was so just out of the blue. You know what, Byron? I don't know how to ask you this. Can you mentor? I mean, dude, what are we talking about? What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I am Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg. Join my co-host Razi and Buff. Fellas, tell them what's on your minds.
Happy Mother's Day!
Thank you.
Yay! All the ladies out there, and all the single dads. It's our day too. Ain't that how they do it? We can't do that. No?
We're not doing that today. Nope. Nope, we're not doing that today. Not today.
Nah. But for real, man, all the ladies out there, all the moms out there, we do want to celebrate. Hats off to you ladies out there doing it, raising these kids. I think Buff's post said it best, right? That quote from Tupac. So, love y'all, man. It is your day for real. And so enjoy it. I know this will drop on Monday, so we hope you had a great Mother's Day. And if you didn't, let us know, and we'll try to make it a little bit better, especially all the single moms out there. No, I'm just playing.
Oh,
all right.
Wow.
Anyway.
Dang.
Now, the only thing I got, man, is Moonnight finished up. It wrapped. I'm not gonna give any. I'm not gonna give any spoilers. I am just gonna say it was pretty much everything that I thought it was gonna be. I was super excited for it, and once again, Kevin Feige delivered on it. Great addition to the MCU. We got our first Egyptian superhero out of it. You probably have seen the post about that. So it's a really, really good first kind of foray into expanding the MCU into different countries and stuff like that. I think even when we talk about Doctor Strange 2, we got our first America Chavez. So I think the first openly LGBTQ superhero in that. So I'm liking what they're doing in the MCU. I'm liking what they're doing as always. And so just excited to see where this goes.
Is she? I felt like in the promo she had a crush on a guy. Like, I thought she was like daydreaming about this dude in all the trailers.
I think you're thinking Miss Marvel.
Oh, you said Miss Marvel. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
America Chavez is in. She's like Captain America.
Never mind.
Small, like young Captain America.
So I'm pretty sure she probably shows up in Moonlight finale.
No. She's in Doctor Strange.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
I mean, they've said she's in the show. That's not nothing. That's not a spoiler.
I just said thank you. What about you, Buff? How's it going?
Want to echo what Razi said. Happy Mother's Day, ladies. Rest in peace to Roe versus Wade. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Supreme Court had a leak, and it looks like the conservative court is going to repeal Roe versus Wade, which is essentially going to try and get rid of abortions and make it illegal. So we'll see what happens with that. It's definitely going to be a hot summer politically if that holds true. As of now, it's just a leaked opinion of what the court has said they're going to rule on. Also, one more thing on that too. I'm going to be a little preachy this episode. You know, you never Hillary people, you Bernie bros, you my vote don't matter people. I'm fine with that. You're okay to be that way. But I don't want to hear you crying about Roe v. Wade. Okay? Because Trump got 3 Supreme Court justices nominated and picked on that court, which has swung the court to, what are they now, 6-3?
6-3, yeah.
Yes, it's 6-3 now. Had you done what people were telling you to do, and gotten Hillary in there for all her flaws and stuff, you know, something like Roe v. Wade wouldn't have been repealed. So again, you may be saying, but I didn't want Hillary in there. That's fine. You know, I'm not loyal to political parties. That's fine. But you kind of got to sit this one out when it comes to and complaining. Yep. Other than that, also,
and there's talks of the next thing that the Republicans are going to go after. So they're already trying to pass bills to go after Brown versus Board of Education.
Yep.
As well. Yep. So that's another one that if they pass the bill, people are going to, the ACLU, everybody's going to go after it and they're going to appeal it, whatever. It's going to get to the Supreme Court, and more than likely, Brown versus Board of Education may get overturned as well.
We always say voting has consequences. Not voting also has consequences. And also, rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. Yeah.
Okay. Why not?
I guess.
I guess. Why not?
Well, some people were celebrating Ferg.
Hold on. I know what you about to say. I'm just trying to say, why wouldn't we say rest in peace?
Okay. Well, yeah.
Like, why wouldn't we have anything?
It was it was a lot of ironies. Not a lot, but it was a couple of ironies I noticed surrounding his death. One, his final episode on his show was called Party of One. I just was like, dang, okay. Two, I saw a lot of people that hate him, and one of the reasons they hate him was because he so-called shamed women, right? Yet in their celebration of his death, some took the time to shame the woman that was with him in his final moments. You know, calling her fat, she looks like a leftover, this, that, and other. I'm like, I thought that's why y'all hated him. Now y'all doing the same thing. So I understand. But very polarizing figure. Some people love what he had to say. Some people hated him. I saw one comparison that compared him to, well, they said his rhetoric is what causes Jeffrey Dahmer's and serial killers. And all I could do was say, wow. So, well, that's all I got, man.
Bruh, it's so crazy. Like, they've gotten him. He has a cult following, and I'm reading the 48 Powers of Law right now. And one of the powers of law is talk about creating a cult and having a following like that and how to do that. And he did it perfectly. And I've seen people now talking about how, like, they got him killed. I don't know who they are. I don't know. But I'm like, is it that? Kevin Samuels was not big enough a figure. He was not talking enough truth, as you say, that somebody was like, I got to get this man killed. We got to get him out the game because he is changing it. He was not changing. Like Ferg said last week, he wasn't saying nothing new. It wasn't nothing that he was saying that was like, oh my God, it's something brand new. So no, he wasn't killed. The Illuminati didn't get him. He didn't have the cure for cancer by just eating right. So none of that. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
Was he working on a Dr. CB documentary though?
Maybe.
Okay. All right.
I don't know, man. There's some petty people out there. It might not have been the Illuminati.
Yeah, and I saw a post that talked about how he died alone and broke and only had $1,000 in the account. But then I see all the other things talk about how he had a $40 million net worth and all these cars and all that. And I actually think they can probably exist where he had all that stuff and all those assets, but he probably had loans and stuff for it. They talk about his YouTube following. I mean, 1 million followers only gets you about $4,000 or $5,000 a month. You can't be worth the $40 million off of $5,000 a month. So he had to be doing something else if that was the case. So I don't know. Really don't care. I don't want to get in his pockets, but
I think he counseled. I think he did other stuff on the side. So I think he counseled. He was
a consultant. Yeah, he was an image consultant. He had his own company. So yeah, I mean, maybe, but it's one of those things that he was also living in an apartment. So, you know, it's rare that you're going to be living in an apartment and have that type of wealth. So I don't know, man. I really don't care. I don't get in his pockets like that. But it's just funny to see how people are so vested in him. But what I will say is, if we ever pass away, I hope y'all are as invested in us as y'all are in Kevin Samuels. So 3 brothers, no sense.
Because all the think pieces that you guys were posted Here's why I didn't like Kevin Samuels. I was like, oh my God, another one?
I wasn't going to even bring this dude up today. Not because I don't think he deserved to be honored. I mean, he wasn't that big of a presence in my life, to be honest. But I just didn't want to give more credence to all the power, especially the negative energy that was going around. Be very careful I word this, because it seems like anything you say, if you hit dogs holler, that is the I've seen that 1,000 times on the last few days. It's the guy said some things. He had horrible delivery. I mean, what's funny is he checked men too. He had a lot of shows. Only the ones where it kind of got extra harsh were the ones that went viral. He called men out. He told men they need to do better. He told men they need to pay for everything. I'm sure there's some ladies out there that like that, but it was never, he badgered or bullied women, and he did the same thing to everybody. It seems like he tried to speak his truth from his observations and his encounters and have a dialogue that most people weren't ready to hear. My only wish is I feel like he had some good stuff to say, and if he would have honed his message a little better, maybe it would have been received better, and maybe some people would have grown from it. Who knows? Or maybe not, because it wasn't the stuff he said. Like I said, it wasn't profound. It wasn't rocket science. So you've been saying this since the beginning of time. So if you ain't listened to Madea, why would you listen to Kevin Samuels? As a matter of fact, had that same energy with Madea next time she tell you something like that. But I don't know. Very interesting week. Did you guys see Dave Chappelle got attacked as well?
Mm-hmm. And they put them hands on old buddy.
Boy, they put the fear.
And feet. They put them feet on him too.
Yeah. He won't be doing that anymore. That just is. Boy, that boy looked bad. But
his arm going a different direction.
Yeah, but the question is, will that deter people from this newfound energy of attacking entertainers?
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's just going to stop with comedians. It's going to, either it's going to stop or it's going to escalate, and then no celebrities are going to be safe from fans, haters, whatever. It's going to be crazy.
I hope it stops. It needs to stop. So,
what else we got? Oh, my bad. I didn't say it. Let me take a step back. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
There you go.
Happy Mother's Day. So we had some technical difficulties, so got lost in the sauce, but happy Mother's Day to my wife, my mom, stepmom, mother-in-law, all that stuff. So all the women, cousins, aunts, all that stuff. All the women in our community. Happy Mother's Day. Enjoy your day. Hope you enjoyed your day, because it's like Razi said, this will drop on Monday. Anything we missed, fellas?
I did see some science news. Did y'all see that they were cloning a velociraptor? Why? Why is this like? I can't even tell y'all regular news no more. Is that?
No, Razi, I did not see they were cloning the velociraptor.
Yeah. they divided a distance raptor by a time raptor.
Is Sophie not available? It's not past her bedtime, so
she just didn't have time. You don't want me to get her? Y'all want to get her? No, we can just go. I like that joke. It's funny.
Right.
You've liked all your jokes.
I think you're up first this week too, sir.
Am I?
I think so. Is you up for?
All right. I got it. Yes. So we can talk about Kevin Samuels all we want, but one thing that I also saw was Ryan Tannehill talking about, he said that it's not his job to mentor Malik Willis. And I wanted your thoughts, because we're all professionals, older in our careers or whatever. And so I wanted your thoughts on, is it our job to mentor people that's coming in that may be trying to take our job?
Absolutely not. But in Ryan Tannehill's situation, I get the sentiment. I get him feeling that way. I think it's real, and to an extent, I agree with him. But sports is so different from the 9-to-5s that we and a lot of the listeners work. In sports, it's probably in his best interest to mentor him, because there are only 32 teams in the league. All the GMs and owners, they talk amongst each other in the off season. And so you don't want to get the reputation where, when you're going on the downhill side of your career and the team is thinking about picking you up, sometimes they pick you up so you can mentor their younger. They always talk about he's a leader in the locker room and stuff like that. I'm a Miami Heat fan. Haslam hasn't been useful on the court in the last half decade or more. But he continues
except for them hands.
Exactly. But he continues to have a roster spot because they consider him a leader in that locker room, and he helps get that team together. So Ryan Tannehill risks being considered someone that's not easy to work with, someone that you don't want around your younger players. And even though he may get to a point to where he has 2 or 3 more years of play in him, but teams won't pick him up because he's not worth it. So that's something he's got to consider. Now, applying it to us, no, I don't think. I mean, especially if they're trying to take your job. Like, in my job, when we have new officers, yeah, you want to help them. It's important for us to help them because that's someone that may be watching your back one day. So you want them to know as much as possible. But these jobs that only have 1 or 2 positions and 3 people are going for it, and you're one of the people considered for it, but they also want you to train and bring this other person up to speed so that they could be eligible for it. Nah, no thanks. I'm good on that. So I understand both sides. In the sports scenario, he may want to rethink it, but regular jobs, I get it.
So there's some people who consider Ryan Tannehill a top 10 quarterback. So he's in the top 1/3 of the NFL starting quarterbacks. He should feel pretty safe. As a leader of the team, part of your job is to fill in where there are gaps and things needed. I would look at him in the locker room as not a team player. Because if he goes down and we need somebody to step up for 2 or 3 games, oh man, we lost those 3 games. Would have sure been great if good old Ryan would have helped Willis out just to if we would have won those games, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3. Don't be scared. So I feel a little different. To me, I don't know if it's an insecurity of his or he just, I don't know what it is. But for me, I'm in sales. I'm an individual contributor, but I'm also part of a team. As I move up and progress, there are people who are going to need me to mentor them for the overall success of our team. I know people in my current position within my company who are associate sales rep, that their senior sales rep does not help them. They don't mentor them. They don't help them, and they're struggling. And there is a power dynamic. Part of the reason they might even be coming for their job because I might as well get it myself if you're not going to help me. For me, I try to be a team player. We're not telling Ryan, time out, what does mentorship look like? What is he? Mm-hmm. Does he think he's going to take his snaps? They're going to run the same plays. He's going to get just as much time in training camp, at practice, as he was going to do with or without Ryan Tannehill Tannehill mentoring him. The only person that looks bad in this situation is him. For me, and especially in sales worlds, people want to, because you're always building a team. It's, as Razi gets better, Razi might get promoted. And Razi's old position is now vacant. Wouldn't it be great for Razi to promote somebody or have somebody fill that void that he has faith in? So that's not necessarily the same in football, but in the world I live in, as people move up, they generally bring people with them. I think Enterprise was the perfect example. People used to always try to build their team. You'll see somebody who was an assistant manager get promoted to branch manager. They'll end up getting their old MTs sent over to their new branch, whatever the case may be, because they're following them. They want these people they mentored and helped. And quite sure, who was the quarterback before Tannehill there?
He was with Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
Marcus Mariota.
Well, Marcus Mariota might not have been able to mentor anybody. But you know what? Let's stop. Coming from sports, every sport I played when I was a new guy, there was somebody who generally took on the new guys, team captain, whatever. And I'm pretty sure that Tannehill was mentored along the way. So unless he did everything by himself, he never had a mentor or player mentor, veteran quarterback mentor him, then hey, pull yourself up by your I can't even say bootstraps now in this situation, by your cleat straps. I mean, I'm thinking, dude, we've all played sports. There's always someone, when you were a freshman in high school, somebody helped you out. When you played park ball, somebody was helping you out when you were the new guy. When there's always somebody. Nobody got here by themselves. And for him to just kind of make that stance, I know this Willis cat, how does he look, Razi?
His first name's Malik, so we're just gonna make some assumptions about how he looks and where he came from.
I'm not saying it's about racism, but this is not the time to take that stance on I'm not mentoring.
Yeah. And I can't remember what player tried to come to his defense and say, it's difference in mentoring and being a teammate and helping and all that. And I don't see the difference in that. I don't see the difference in, like you said, for you're going to get the snaps. But if I'm not saying, hey, tweak this, do this, make sure, when you're out, don't do this because it might mess you up with this. You're out with these chicks every night, but they might come for you. And now my backup quarterback is in jail or something else because of that. It's like, that's what I look at for mentorship, right? It's not necessarily the snaps and teaching him the plays and all that stuff. I mean, I look at it as protecting that investment of my backup quarterback, because in sports is hard, right? You can't be like, oh, I want to get promoted and bring you up with me, because it's not like that with a quarterback, right? There's nowhere to go. You're in this position. You're the only one in that position. But you got to train that next person, because you know that at some point you're going to get old and the team's going to need you. So, or need that next person. So if you really are about the team, then yes, you got to mentor that person for longevity so that they can be the next thing behind you. And like Buff said, I think when you set yourself up as I'm the guy that does mentor, maybe you do end up having a longer career, because as you start waning and as you can't play and you end up being the backup quarterback because you're older or whatever, but you're still mentoring them. You can show them the ropes and all of that on the other stuff as you can't play. And it sets up, if you ever want to get into like coaching or something like that, that's the other part about it, is you can transition into coaching a lot easier, because they look at you like, okay, he does mentor and make sure that other people are taken care of and look at the team. So as you look for your next role, as you get older, I think mentoring is a big deal to be able to say that's a skill set of mine that I can bring to whatever my next step is, whether I go drop down to that second string and I'm that mentor, or I'm coaching, or if I'm transitioning completely out of the league. It helps.
And Ryan said the quiet part loud, because I'm pretty sure all of those players feel that way, especially in football. Basketball, not so. Like if you're LeBron James or Michael Jordan or Giannis Antetokounmpo, you ain't got to worry about that until you're like in the last couple of years of your career, when you know the end is coming. But football, I mean, you could be just in your 5th year, and if you're not performing, man, they will move on from your ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but let me ask you this. For one, he's a quarterback, especially in his role as a quarterback.
Yeah.
Never say that shit. Just let's be honest. Just never say that. Just don't. Secondly, how often do you think the starting quarterback is asked to mentor the backup?
I think it's expected.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Exactly. Like, So this is something like, you know what? I got a bright idea. Let's ask Ryan Tannehill to mentor the backup quarterback. They are 31 other quarterbacks who are probably expected to do the exact same thing unless their backup quarterback is a veteran. And if their backup quarterback is a veteran, they're probably there to mentor from behind.
Mm-hmm.
So there is especially in that role, supposed to be the hardest role on the team, there is a relationship and expectancy of somebody to be mentoring the other person, generally. And he's acting like they asked him to do something that was so just out of the blue. You know what, Byron? I don't know how to ask you this. Can you mentor? I mean, dude, what are we talking about?
Yeah. For them to even have to ask, though, is the other part that shows me a little bit of the side of Ryan Tannehill. Like, why would they even have to ask? Because I assume that's an expectation of that. So I don't even know how that came up, other than he hasn't mentored in the past, or he's that guy that just won't. And so they're like, are you going to do it with Malik? And so I think that's another part of it, is he's digging himself a grave when it comes, as soon as, like Byron said about the 5 years, as soon as he drops out of that top 20, 25, he's going to get cut, and he's not going to get that backup spot and to be able to help, because they don't see that in him. But bringing it back to, my job, corporate America and everything, I feel like mentoring is very important in corporate America. Not just from a team perspective and we win as one and all of that. I look at it as, if you're not mentoring that next group that's coming up, you're probably never going to get promoted to that next position. Just like I talked about, looking at the being the backup or the coach or transitioning, managers and upper level management, look at that. If you're not the guy that's bringing people on and onboarding them and being the buddy and be like, hey, let me show you the ropes around here and all of that. If they don't see that in you, you're probably not going to get that management position. You're not going to get that upper management position, that district manager position. So I'll tell all the listeners out there, if you're not mentoring, if you're not reaching out to the newcomers and saying, hey, let me show you the ropes on this stuff, start doing that. And one of the things in sales we always talk about is no anonymous giving. If you're doing that, make sure folks know it. Make sure that, you're doing it publicly. Don't just whisper in their ear in private. Have that person almost like sing your praises, like, yeah, Razi's been mentoring me. I appreciate everything he's doing to show me this and this and this. Like, there needs to be some give and take there. So if you are being mentored, publicly praise that person for mentoring you. And if you're mentoring, make sure that that's happening in public too. We don't anonymously give anything, because if you do, then you're not going to be able to reap the rewards as quickly. So that's all I got to put my career development hat on for a second.
All right. Well, Buff, go ahead and go, because I talked a lot on my last one. So
did you? Okay. So my question is actually from a listener, and they've actually been on the show before, as a matter of fact. I feel like we may have addressed this before, but as always, there's nothing wrong with updating the answers. She says, question for you guys. Do you live vicariously through your kids in any way? Like, do you try to get them interested in sports, TV shows, music, etc. that you liked as a kid? Do you go places you always wanted to go as a kid with them?
I'll answer because mine's pretty simple. No, I don't. For me, I want my kids to be interested in whatever they're interested in. Now, am I kind of proud that, they like the things I like? We can talk about it a little bit more or whatever. I hate to say more interested in that, but if I'm interested in it too, we're just going to talk about it more, right? I've got more to talk about. Like when both my kids like anime. So when we're sitting there talking about anime, it's just, I can be more engaged than, gymnastics. When Sophie was taking gymnastics, I'm like, I'm here or whatever, but it's not something that I'm like super interested in. So,
how did they get into anime though?
They got into anime probably because I was watching it. It's kids are going to pick up on the environment, but they also start liking stuff that I don't like, right? Like Ollie fell in love with soccer, not because I like soccer or ever played it. It's because he got interested in it. We put him in, a little soccer development thing, and he liked it and stayed with it. So I think that's the thing, is exposing them to all the different stuff. And then when they like it, they like it. So I don't try to live vicariously through them. I'm not trying to push them. I'm not trying to be King Richard and be like, I need a tennis star, right? Or, I always wanted to go to the league in baseball or whatever, make it to the big leagues. And so I'm going to push them into baseball or whatever. For me, it's whatever they're interested in. I find joy in them enjoying themselves, not necessarily finding joy in seeing them do things that I wanted to do. So no, I definitely don't live vicariously through them, but I do get excited when they do things that I'm interested in. Like we're talking about going to Japan next year because all of us watch anime. Sophie's like, for my 10th birthday, I want to go to Japan. Ollie wants to go to the Pokemon park that's there. So that's what we're doing. So we're talking that, and as a family, we're like, yes, super excited about that. So yes, I'm more involved and I'm like more interactive when they do stuff that I like, but nah, not vicariously through them. Nah, I'm not on it.
Well, I'll be the odd man out because when I look at that, I think I would be lying if I said I don't have a vision for my kids. It's, man, if I close my eyes and I look 20 years in the future where I would like to see my kids. And so am I putting them in the direction to kind of make that happen? Or do I plan on putting in that? So I don't think I'm overbearing with any of that stuff. My kids play the sports, they're in gymnastics now. They'll pick up soccer again. Sky's been in dance. Only did soccer out of the 3 of those activities. They're probably going to do mixed. I'm going to put them in some kind of mixed martial arts. But once again, that's me choosing to put them in mixed martial arts. They're not asking to like, you know what, Dad? What are your thoughts on MMA? It's, I want to put you in here. I think this will be a good step for you. Because I think that's kind of part of, and maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. I think that's part of parenting. You put your kids in places where you think they can excel, or put them in places where they're going to develop the skills to be better. But I think a good example of that is I was talking to somebody the other day, actually yesterday, and I would love and hate for my kids to go to FAM. Like I feel like I'm going to push them towards a HBCU. And if I can do anything about it, I'm going to try to get them to FAM because I love what that school did for me and so many other people. I love the thought, the energy of HBCUs. So there's that. Now they decide to go to Texas A&M or U of H or any other PWI. Am I going to, disown them, be upset? No, I might be a little disappointed, but my wife went right next door to Florida State. So I can't, and she turned out perfectly fine. So I can't be mad, but there's little things like that. I'm not necessarily pushing my kids to do certain sports, but I played soccer. Soccer is my favorite sport to play. Of course, the first sport I signed my kids up for was soccer. But I'm not trying to make my kids soccer stars and you need to be the star athlete or anything like that. I want to, if anything, I at least try to introduce them to things that I felt were interesting to me, that were impactful in my life, things that I enjoyed. Sky and I both loved the Avatar, The Last Airbender. You know, we'll watch that together. She had eye surgery the other day. We had daddy-daughter day, so we stay downstairs and watch a couple episodes of, you know, the Avatar. So, and she really likes that show. But I wouldn't go as far as say I think there's levels to that, because I see people we did gymnastics the other day. You can tell the parents that were gymnasts, like they're getting up and like, hey, don't do that like this and do this like this. It's like, lady, just let the kid coach. Your daughter's 6. Relax. You know, basketball parents, football parents, soccer. You can tell those parents who are trying to live vicariously. Their kids are going to be the best dressed athlete. They're going to be 6 looking like they're running for the USA Olympic team. Because I ran track and I wanted to go to the Olympics. I'm going to do everything to make sure my kids go there. But I think it's also what we talk about, you know, do you let your kids quit? If they start something interesting and they don't take to it, I'm not going to keep pushing them. But all I can do is do what I know. And as more things come up, you know, more sports, more activities become available or on my radar, I'll introduce them to those as well.
So my answer.
But before you start, one thing I want to add though is that I think I see a lot of people that they have regrets in their life. Those are a lot of times the folks that I see live vicariously through their kids. Yeah. Like, and maybe that's why I don't live through them, because it's like I don't regret it, and it's like I'm good. Yeah. So go ahead, Buff.
I was gonna say my answer is like a blend of you guys. Like I don't live vicariously through Jasmine, but I have asked her, you know, would she consider running track when she gets in high school? Things like that. But for me, I just want her to be passionate about something, and whatever she's passionate about, I want her to know that she has my full support. Like with the whole art thing, you know, I'm enthusiastic when she shows me what she's working on or when she's talking about art. She just like won some award at school for some art she did. So I definitely let her know how proud I am and how happy I am, but I don't push her to really do anything. She has enjoyed watching some boxing with me. She said she enjoyed that Deontay Wilder Fury 3 fight. She said she wished she could have came with me and Tabitha to Dallas when we went to the fight. I think that's cap right there. She just don't like being left alone. But Razi, cut this part out if we go too long. But Ferg said something that made me think about this as like a part 2 to this question. Ja Morant, who plays for the Memphis Grizzlies, his father is beginning to catch a lot of flack being compared to LeVar Ball and how he's too enthusiastic and he's taking the spotlight away from his son. I rejected that, and I'm like, Ja Morant's dad is no more enthusiastic than one of those parents Ferg talked about. You know, these soccer moms and things like that. So his son, you know how hard it is to make it to the pros and then be a superstar at that? It's like, that's the lottery. So what are you guys' thoughts on that?
But you know what's funny about that is how many players are in the NBA?
That's good because each team only carries 12 on a roster.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's over 300 players in the NBA. Yeah. How many parents are standing behind their son during interviews?
How many?
That's my thing. Yeah, he's passionate, but you'll go watch a game tonight, and he was like, "Look at who's your favorite player?" I'm trying to think. Oh, you're a Heat fan, so I'm thinking
Jimmy Butler, maybe.
Yeah, I was Jimmy Buckets, but you don't see Jimmy Buckets' parents standing on the sideline after every game, sitting courtside every game. They might, if he has a 45-point game, because I'm pretty sure they'll be at the playoff game, especially if it's in Miami. They'll flash to his parents in the stands with a Jimmy Buckets jersey on. That's my support. It's this dude. I didn't know if he was, the first time I saw him, like, is this his agent? Is this his twin brother? What is going on? This dude is just, I mean, but then, I mean, like you said, it's people express their joy and their support of their kids differently. But go to those, I don't know if Jasmine's really gotten into sports yet, but go to those games and see those parents that you like, do you want to coach? Like, it's, you're doing too much.
I was telling the story, like, when I'm coaching, it's parents is like doing exactly that, you know, yelling at their kids because they're not doing something, or, you know, telling them to get in position that's different than what I want them to be in. And so that's a whole nother story. But yeah, like they're not agreeing with the coaches, and they're undermining the coaches and like, oh, you should do it like this, you should do it like that. So those are the parents that's just like, they do too much. But, you know, that's the other part about it with like Ja Morant and his dad. It may be that, you know, they have an agreement of, hey, I need to get you exposure because maybe his dad's trying to do something bigger. Maybe his dad wants to be an agent, right? Mm-hmm. And say, I got my son here and I want to do more or whatever. So I need some shine. So, you know, you can't just judge from that. It may be kind of like LeVar Ball did with his kids, and all three of them made it to the league. It's like, hey, I don't have any more kids, but I got some kids back in that I mentored back in, you know, at home or whatever. And I want to kind of do the same thing. So I need my face out there so that when I approach these, you know, coaches and agents and recruiters and all that, they know that I'm serious and I know what I'm talking about when I'm bringing it up. I'm not just Ja Morant's dad. I'm like, you know, I'm me. And I produce winners. And so that may be something else that they may be working on. So you got to know what the inner workings of that situation is.
Peyton Manning's dad, also Eli Manning's dad. Eli Manning's dad orchestrated for him to not go to the San Diego Chargers, who had the first pick in the draft that year. He used his power and influence for him to go to the New York Giants instead. He's held as a hero for that. And it did work out for Eli Manning, but he's held as a hero for that. That's way more involved in your kid's career than what Ja Morant's dad is doing. And if Ja Morant doesn't have a problem with it, then I'm good with it. Now, if Ja starts having a problem with it, I assume he'll go to his dad and say, hey, man, pipe down. But if he's good with it, I'm good with it.
And I'm not saying that's a great example. I'm not saying... I think as a parent, you parent. You know, you continue to parent, and you continue to be a voice of reason. You know, somebody who's going to hopefully a wise sage with age. But, and you know, I'm not a Eli Manning fan by any means, or Archie Manning fan. But at the same time, he did that, and then he fell back. Like, you didn't see him. How many games did you see him sitting on the sideline? How many interviews did you see him in? Unless it was like a Manning family thing. And you can still be present. Like this dude, I mean, the reason we're bringing it up because he's so in your face. He's there.
Overbearing. Yeah,
it's parents that are there, you know, but at the same time, he's in your face. Like it was, I forgot, I think it was the last game of the last series. And I mean, you thought he was getting ready to get interviewed. Like he was hype, he was ready, he was up at the mic before Ja was there. So, I don't know. But it's a good point, you know, living vicariously through your kids. Hopefully your passion doesn't.
He's definitely living through his kids. He's definitely doing that.
Your passion is to supersede their passion. And you try to turn your passion into their passion. But hey, he's a father that's present. So kudos. Hey. You know what? If that's the relationship me and your son have, then I won't knock it.
He might tell him to pipe down because I don't know if you guys remember, LeBron's mom was like that. You know, like she was talking trash to Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. And he had to, like, there's this video of him telling her to sit her ass down somewhere.
Yeah. All right, fellas. So here's a question. I I don't even know how I got into this. I don't know if I was just reading or meditating, but start looking at some stuff from Confucius. Go figure. And he talks about friends, and we kind of, and I like what you always do, Byron, you always bring conversations back up. So Confucius advised his disciples to make worthy friends. Someone like a teacher whom one wants to emulate and learn from. He says, don't make friends with anyone who is not as good as you. And when you're walking in the company of two people, one of them is bound to find a teacher among them. So how do you feel like as we get older, a lot of times our circles get smaller? Are you starting to narrow that friend wall or that friend circle? Are you very careful about who you put in that circle? What are you looking for in friends these days? Has that definition, has your expectations of your friends changed? And what do you do with those friends who might not be on that same path?
That's a couple different questions. I'll start by saying I completely disagree with Confucius on that. The whole idea of always making friends that are better than you, I think, is flawed, because then you're never able to uplift your friend. You're never able to, be the teacher in the situation if you're always looking for a friend that's better than you, right? I think there needs to be that balance, and so I definitely disagree with him on that. When you ask about, has my definition of friendship changed? I don't think so. No, my definition hasn't, but I've gotten better at picking who actually falls into that definition, right? Like when you're younger and you're footloose and fancy free, you'll throw anybody in that friend zone or say that's my friend because you guys are hanging out a lot and all of that, because that's all you're doing, right? That it's not necessarily I need them to be able to uplift me and hold me down and all that, because all y'all broke, all y'all are college students, just going out partying or whatever. So your friend group can be larger because y'all really aren't doing a whole lot there. And so I think what happens as the years go by is it does get smaller because you're more focused on what that friend looks like. Like you really are like, can they support me? Or do they have my back? So the person that you called your friend in college, when it hit the fan and they weren't there, now you're like, that's not my friend because they weren't there when it hit the fan, right? Or I needed them and they couldn't come through. So now I know that that's not my friend. So I think it's just as you get older and you experience situations, you start to figure out who really fits into that mold. If they've never been tested, you might call them a friend until they've been tested. And once they've been tested, then you're like, okay, weed that person out. Don't need that person. Don't need that person. So it gets smaller because you're just not as apt to call them a friend. And you've had life experience to weed them out. What was the other question? I think that I hit most of them. Does it grow smaller? Did it change? And what do you do with the people who kind of fall out? For me, they just fall out. I don't know what it is you would want me to do. I mean, when I consider you a friend, I got you 100% hands down. What happens is as I stop considering them a close friend in that inner circle, we kind of talked about that, right? You start questioning when you call me and you need some money or you need something, would you give me that same energy? So yes, I can come and help you or not. So you start to decide whether you're going to help them or not based on where they fall in the friend circle. But I think it's just a natural kind of weeding out, and you don't reach out to them as much because they don't reach out to you as much. You're not going to help them because you don't feel like they'd help you or whatever. And it's just the nature of life and growing and friendships. Friendships ebb and flow. And so, there's friends that I haven't talked to in years, but if they ever called me and said they needed something, I'd still do whatever I could to help them, because I feel like even though we haven't talked in years, if I called them and said, hey, I really need this, I feel like they do the same for me. So it's not even about how often we talk or how connected we are. It really is just how I feel that they would react to the same situation if I called them for that thing.
So I don't think the definition changes. I think just your circumstances change. So the definition of friendship always remains the same, but sort of like some of the examples Razi used. So in middle school and high school, I didn't need my friends' advice on signing for mortgage papers or should I refinance and things like that. I didn't need friends' advice on, I'm thinking about doing this for my wife or whatever like that, or what should I be looking for when I'm applying for a credit card. I didn't need that type of stuff. I just hang out with me, be loyal with me, have fun, all that kind of stuff. But as you get older, and you
fight. When I get into a fight with me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And when you get older, it's like, yeah, I'll fight with you, but we're not finna be fighting over no dumb shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so the older you get, the circumstances change. And the other two questions, they kind of like, to me, they go hand in hand, whether or not your circle gets smaller and what do you do with people that fall off. That's what makes your circle smaller. And a lot of times is when people fall off. And a lot of times people fall off is because you're not into the things that you guys, we talked about this before, that you guys used to be into. So like if your thing was riding around, drinking, smoking, listening to music, and that was fun, corporate America Ferg can't be doing that anymore. That's reckless behavior. So you're not going to partake in that. And if that's the only way that friend knows how to bond with you, like they're not interested in, just meeting up, having a couple of drinks and talking. Like that's not stimulating enough for them. They need to ride around and do the same things they did 10, 15 years ago. Then you're going to fall apart because you're hanging out less and less, and your interests are no longer the same. If you had a friend that you were chasing women with all the time, you know what I mean? Like almost like on the movie Hitch or something like that. You get older, you get a family, you're not running the streets no more to do that type of stuff. And if they're still doing that, and that's the only way they can bond with you, they're going to fall off. So your circle can get smaller depending on if those past friends can keep up with how you're moving in your life. And it just happens. But overall, I don't think the definition changes. I just think we get older, we mature, and your circumstances change.
Okay. So I will say I agree with Confucius for the fact that, it's like, look around. You are who you are around. Like if I'm still riding around doing those same things, no matter how much money I make, like it's just 9 times out of 10, it's just a matter of time before it all comes tumbling down, because I'm here on a certain level, but I'm still that same person. So I do surround myself, or I try to surround myself around those people. And better than you could be on certain things. We all bring something different to the table. So I always go back to the fraternity I know and love, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Our motto is friendship is essential to the soul. And I think sometimes people just look at it as a blatant, like, oh, the Qs are just friends. But if you look at it deeper and it says friendship is essential to the soul, that's my definition of friendship. It's people who contribute to my overall growth, who pour into me and I can pour into. It might not, you might not be able to pour into me about credit card or finances, but your emotional support. There's people I call and they'll let me talk their ear off about, man, whatever I'm going through. Like, dog, just if you need to talk, I'm here for you. You can't do with that, everybody. Spiritual support, man. If you just need me to pray with you, then there's people that's essential to my well-being in my life. And if you can't be, like, if I can be okay without you, or, you can be okay without me. I'm not okay, but like better off. Like you bring something. It's not being okay, is you bring something to me. There's people like, man, dude, I know when I go through this, there's people I'm calling right up. If there's advice about something, there's people I'm calling right up. If I need to bounce ideas off, there's people I'm reaching out to, and people do the same to me. And so I look around me and I'm like, okay, this is my circle. Now, sometimes I look at my circle like, bro, you need to get your circle together. But you look around, and that's why, Razi, I say it all the time when I'm around, especially younger brothers. I talk about those things, some of the things you were talking about, Byron. Like, if you just meet me and all we're doing is drinking and having fun, am I really a friend? I can meet somebody at the bar. We can all go to Miami tonight. We can meet up in Vegas tonight. We can meet somebody at the bar that will talk and drink and have fun with us. But if that's all you bring to the table, then what are we really? So my thing is, my circle definitely gets smaller, and I'm okay with changing that title of friend. Like, everybody, I take friendship and being a friend very, it's a sacred, to me, it's sacred. They were a friend, or what I thought a friend was at that time, and there's nothing against them, nothing against me. We outgrew each other. We went in different directions. They're not as involved, or they're not essential to my overall being. And it could be during certain periods of time, ebbs and flows of life. I might have talked about it for 5 years, and all of a sudden they pop back up in my life, and they're part of it. Like Byron, we probably didn't talk for a while, for years. And then I'm asking you to be the officiant at my vow renewal. I respect what you bring to the table, especially when it comes to marriage and dedicating to your family. I look up to those things. So not only because we've been going at it since 6th grade, but it's just like there's things that I look at, even in silence. I'll watch. I might debate sometimes, but I'm still watching and taking note. And those are things that I feel like we have to look at more and be careful about our circles, because we always see that person, we see those people who are brought down by their circle. Like, man, I don't know why he's still messing with those people. Especially, we were talking about like NBA and sports. It's those people that are still trying to hang around their homeboys and their people, the people they consider friends, who at the end of the day aren't essential to their growth, their well-being. And if anything, as a friend, you should be like, you know what, dog, you don't need to hang with me. Ain't nothing good gonna come from hanging with me. I'm in these streets. I got, I'm gonna get you caught up with your wife. I'm gonna do all this stuff. Dog, you need to go.
You look at LeBron. You talked about athletes. He's done both. He met a guy at an airport that has now become like his closest friend and business partner, and he also has a childhood friend that's his business partner as well. So he's done like both.
Yeah, because you can meet people, but they can become your friend. So as I grow and I meet people, like, it's put it this way, it's harder to get in my friend circle today than it was 20 years ago. We can be cool, we can be associates, we can kick it, we can drink, we can hang out. You can come to the crib, when I'm hosting Thanksgiving. But the people I consider my friends is a very different group of people. I don't know. It would be funny if you had a friends list and you compare and I was like, oh, dude, I ain't on your list. I mean, I rocks with you, but you ain't really my homeboy like that, You ain't my peoples, we don't really talk about anything. So, and with that being said, for some people, I'm probably a horrible friend. And so I'm cool with that. I'm not a horrible person. I'm just probably a horrible friend to that person. If their definition of a friend is a certain thing and I'm not building or providing extra. So I don't know. That's all I got, fellas. Anything else?
That's it.
Make me think of that TLC. What about your friends? What about your friends?
Top tier song, by the way.
Top tier? Top tier?
Yeah. I like TLC.
Top tier song or group?
Both. Okay. Yeah, both.
What about your friends? That's a banger.
Yeah. You don't like What About Your Friends?
I'm not saying I just would have never called it top tier. Like I would have been like, it's like, like I thought about it. I'm like, I'm the one that brought it up. We like top tier.
Yeah.
Which y'all got, fellas?
I started off the show saying I was going to be a little preachy, and I'm going to end it that way. I promise not to be this way next week, but there is a picture that's been going around on social media for a couple of weeks now. I guess it was like a prom picture of a young lady and a guy, and they're holding guns in the picture. And a rumor soon followed that she lost her scholarship to TCU, which, by all accounts that I looked at, was not true. It was just a rumor that started. But people were celebrating. People were like, that's what she get for doing that dumb behind stuff, and now she'll learn. And people were like genuinely happy that she may have lost her scholarship over a picture. So let me first say this. It was a dumb thing to do. I don't know the point of what they were trying to do. It wasn't a good look. Where the hell were her parents at when they took the picture? This, that, and the other. It's not worth losing a scholarship over, okay? Because Nathan, Brad, and Cody, they pose with shotguns and hunting rifles all the time, and nobody says anything. And I just find it a little disappointing that grown-ups who make similar, if not worse, mistakes on social media about what they post were cheering her possibly losing a scholarship and ruining her future over. If she got a scholarship, then clearly she's a good student by all accounts. By a small mistake in the grand scheme of things, a small mistake in judgment in her part. So I just want us to do better, because that just wasn't a good look to me.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to mention it too, because my thing was, of course, return to the black and white issue, because it's always a black and white issue.
I always do that too.
And I did not celebrate her. Like when I saw it, I was disheartened that she potentially lost a good segue into life based off a lapse in judgment. Not excusing her though, I'm glad you said, it was dumb. We always try to compare apples to apples or apples to oranges. And in this way, there is a difference how they look at black and white people. That's evident. But it's also a way they look at different guns. Just like the guns that you can own, like hunting rifles and shotguns, they can own them and carry them at a lot younger age. You can have like a hunting rifle and shotguns mounted in your car. It's not considered a weapon. It's considered a hunting rifle. I think this chick looked like she had an AR-15 and it looked like a saw or something. I'm like, you had it. And if you want to, people can argue with me all they want. In the court of law, I don't want to say the court of law, but when they look at those things, those are not considered the same thing. Mm-hmm. Even when we were in the Army, we can call our weapon a gun. There's a difference in a gun and a weapon. Yep. And she had obvious weapons. And I'm like, still dumb decision, even for Cody, Brad, and
Nathan. Don't forget Nathan. Yeah, don't forget Nathan.
Nathan.
You always forget Nathan.
But that's their out, and it's a possibility that Cody, Brad, and Nathan really hunt. Like that could really be their hunting rifles, but her stuff was a replica anyway. But her having a saw, AR-15 or whatever, AK, whatever people we post, and they get mad when we don't get the same, pat on the shoulder, like, hey, it's okay. It's like, I'm telling you, just because you see it as the same thing, they're not looking at it this way. But hey, who am I?
Yeah,
Razi.
It's the talk, right? But
yeah.
All I gotta say is, in light of this whole Kevin Samuels thing, all these folks out there that is following it and talking all the stuff about it. One of the big takeaways that I saw was how long it took for them to be able to find somebody to actually announce and find the loved one and emergency contacts and all of that. Now, I want to say, folks, just go out, make sure that you have emergency contacts in your phone, that you have it, in your insurance documents, something. Make sure that you have somebody that people can get a hold of, because you never know when things will happen, especially if you're living by yourself, that type of thing. You need to have somebody that people can reach back out to, usually in your phone. I know there's an emergency contact portion in your phone. Make sure you have that so people can kind of have somebody that they can reach out to if something bad happens to you, because I definitely don't want to be in the situation where like his mom found out about him passing from social media. So, make sure that you have some way to get in touch with some emergency person out there. So that's all I got, man, because I was just saddened by that portion of the announcement.
This is my last take on Kevin Samuels. The man is gone. He's dead. He's not coming back. I hope this is the peace that we needed to, this ends all the problems that black men and black women are having, because obviously he was the culprit. He's the reason that black men were attacking and, black women didn't feel protected. Hopefully there's some good that comes out of this. Let him rest in peace. Don't go back and bring up old episodes. Like it's over. It's over for the I'm gonna say this. I hate when we talk about two extremes and we make them the norm. There are a group of men who idolize Kevin Samuels, and I'm not going to give my opinion of those men, but they are not the majority. A lot of women that called into Kevin Samuels thinking they were the exception to the rule, are not the norm. The majority of us fall in the middle. That's the whole bell curve thing. What's crazy is the bell curve I found themselves defending the people on polar ends. Men were defending, his comments about the women that were calling in. And the women were like, he's just going crazy. Like, hey, most of us have the common sense to understand. I hope that he spoke in general terms, that there was some truth to some of the things he said. There was some misogynistic opinions to some of the things he said. He's only human. We all have our faults. We all have our opinions. Just like you get on social media and make a post based off your opinions of him, he did the exact same thing. He just has a larger platform. Let it go. Let it go. Hopefully you find peace, solace, whatever. I don't think that's going to happen. There might be a class, there might be a podcast, there might be a whole new Facebook group on Kevin Samuels as whatever. Anything else, fellas?
I was just gonna add that bad always gets replaced by worse. So if you thought he was bad, we thought Bush was bad, we got Trump. Trump. If you watched The Wire, you thought Avon was bad, you got Marlo. So it always gets worse. So somebody is gonna fill that void, and you're gonna hate him even more. But hopefully I'm wrong. So we'll see.
Hopefully you're wrong. Well, 3 brothers, no sense. 6 rules of podcast. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. And catch us on Inspire You on Air every Monday night, 10 p.m. Central. Sorry, ladies. It's been a crazy week. Happy Mother's Day once again. Talk to you next week.